All right, fourth grade, here are your math boxes for lesson HS5, and I noticed that my math was wrong in the last problem of the journal pages. I did 6 times 8, which I put as 42, but the answer is actually not 42, it's 48. So if you followed me, make sure you go back and you correct the mistake that I made in the last video, okay? All right, number 1. How many degrees will Paula need to move the back of her chair to be able to lie flat? So this looks like one of those beach chairs where you could adjust the back. Well, we know that a straight line is 180 degrees. So you would take a 180 degrees and you would minus 130 degrees because we know that from here to here is 130. And that would give you C, the amount of space she would have to move her chair back. And if you did that, you would get 50 degrees. Number 2, the Merman family used 3,955 liters of water in a week. The Santana family used 4,263 liters during the same week. On average, how much more water did the Santanas use in one day than the Mermans? So what you have to do is you would have to take the total that each family used and you would have to divide it by 7. So my number model might look a little something like this, because this is a 2-step, actually it's a 3-step problem. Your first step is to figure out how much the Santana family used, which is 4,263 divided by 7. Then you would have to compare that by subtracting how much the Merman family used, which would be 3,955 divided by 7, and that would give you how many liters. So they don't leave you obviously enough room, so I'm going to zoom in a lot so I can make my writing as small as possible. So if I did 7 divided by 4,263, now, 7 can't go into 4 because it's too big. So I'm going to have to do, 7 into 42, which would give me 6. So, I'm supposed to be on my highlighter. Now, since I'm using 42, that 6 has to be above the 2. And I get 42. So I'm left with nothing. So I'm going to bring down my 6. 7 cannot go into 6, so I'm going to do a 0. 7 times 0 is 0. So I have 6. Now I bring down that 3, and I get 9. 9 times 7 is 63. So my answer is 609 liters is how much the Santana family used. Now let's see how much the Merman family used. So theirs was 7 divided by 3,955. So 7 can't go into 3. So you're going to have to make it 39. Now 39 cannot go evenly into 7, but you can get close by doing 7 times 5. So my 5 is going to go above my 9, and I'm going to put a 35. 39 minus 35 is 4. Then I'm going to bring down my 5. So now the number is 45. 45 does also not go into 7 evenly, but I can get close by doing 7 times 6, which is 42. And I'm left with 3. I have to bring down my 5. And now 35 is a multiple of 7, so you would get 565 with no remainder. So then now that I know how much they used, you're going to subtract 609 liters from the Santana family minus 565 liters from the Merman family. And if you did that math, you should get 44 liters. So my answer is 44 liters. And if I wanted to find out how many milliliters, I would do 44 times 1,000, because there's 1,000 milliliters in 1 liter, and you would get 44,000 milliliters. Okay, number 3, we are adding fractions. So you can see that on all of these examples, they're in tenths and hundreds, but the denominator is not the same, so you do need to do some converting. So 4 6/10 would become 4 60/100. That would be an equivalent fraction. So then you can just add. So 4 plus 5 is 9. And then 60 plus 7 is 67, and my denominator stays at hundreds. Okay, same thing for here. 1/10 is going to become 10/100, and you're going to get 5 18/100. Okay, here 5/10 becomes 50/100. 7 plus 4 is 11, and 7 plus 50 is 57/100. Okay, 9/10 becomes 90/100. So 8 plus 5 is 13. And then 90 plus 28 gives you 118. And you'll notice this is an improper fraction. So we need to take out a whole, which would make the 13 a 14. And 100 minus 118 leaves you with 18/100. Okay, we are doing subtracting fractions in number 4. So 6 5/8 minus 2 1/8. So if I subtracted the whole numbers, I would get 4. And then 5 minus 1 is 4. And my denominator stays as 8, so 4 4/8. Now here you're finding one of the numbers you're subtracting as the unknown. So what minus 3 would give you 2? So I know that 1 minus 3 would give you 2, so my denominator stays the same. And then 3 minus what would give you 2 for a whole number? So you get 1 1/4. Okay, you're going to do the same thing for this, for C, but my advice is to change both of these to a improper fraction. So if I did this, it would be 5 times 3, which is 15, plus 2, which is going to be 17/3, and 3 would be the same as 3 times 3/3, which would give you 9/3. So what minus 17 would give you 9? So it would be 8/3, which you also can write as 2 2/3 as your answer. Okay, D. 9 5/12 minus 2 7/12. So what you're going to have to do here is you're going to have to take a whole from this 9 and give it to your fraction. So this 9 becomes 8, and if I add 12 to 5, I get 17/12. So 8 minus 2 is 6, and 17 minus 7 is 10, and 12 is my denominator. Okay, so explain your thinking for problem 1. So you're just going to write that you know that the measure of that straight angle, exactly like we talked about here, is 180. So you would have to subtract what you already know to find that unknown. So that's what you would write for problem 5. All right, guys, that's it for lesson 8-5. I will see you on Wednesday for our last official lesson of Unit 8. All right, see you guys later.